How many of you struggle in relationships right now where your partner is addicted to their cell phone? You go out in public and you're trying to have a conversation with your partner and they're glued to their phone. Have you asked yourself, why are they glued to the phone? What about you doesn't excite them anymore? Why are they so involved in their phone? Have they become so obsessed with their phone? What are we not doing in our relationships? What we don't ask ourselves. I know myself, I've been in a relationship where we just kind of were glued to our phones and we didn't really communicate. And when it came to date night, we were on our phones and there was no communication. Or if we sat down to watch a movie, instead of watching the movie together, we'd be on our phones. Or you try to watch sports or anything, it's the same thing. We're just so obsessed with our cell phones. And we don't ask ourselves, why did we become obsessed with our cell phones? What spark extinguished in our relationship for us to not want to spend time with each other? Do you find that you're in a relationship where you're not spending time with your partner anymore? That you're just constantly on your cell phone? Have you asked yourself why that is? What lost the spark? What did you do differently? Did you become bored? Are you complacent? Do you feel like you're just roommates and there's just no more intimacy? There's no more affection? Well, I can show you a way where you can get that intimacy back, that affection back. But it starts with you. Whatever's going on with you, fix it first. Whatever's bothering you or making you bored in the relationship, talk to your partner about it. Tell your partner, I'm bored. Why are you bored? Because there's something inside of you that you haven't dealt with. Maybe you weren't in love with this person to begin with. You don't know. You just thought you were at the time, and now it seems like you're not. But were you actually in love with that person? Or did you tell yourself you were in love with that person because you didn't want to be alone and you just wanted to be in a relationship so you weren't alone? Because you're scared to be alone because you're scared of your own company. How many of you ask yourself that question? Probably none. Because we all get into relationships that we're uncomfortable in because we don't want to be alone. Or something happens to us while we're in the relationship and the spark just goes away. But if you're constantly on your cell phone instead of looking at the person that you're with, then there's something wrong. And we make excuses for people. We often don't ask ourselves what's going on inside of us for us to want to be addicted to our cell phone and not to want to communicate with the person across from me. Ask yourself a question. Are you happy in this relationship? Yes or no? If you are, then why are you on your phone instead of communicating that you're happy with this person that you're in a relationship with? No sounds like the more reasonable answer than yes, because you wouldn't be on the cell phone if that was the case. I see it all the time whenever I go out now into a restaurant. I don't see people talk to each other anymore. I don't see people look at each other anymore. People are always got their head glued to that screen. And you never ask yourself why that is the case. Instead, you just go about your merry way and just live life to exist. Where's the enjoyment in that? Where's the love even? You gotta love yourself. If you're not loving yourself unconditionally, how are you gonna love the person across from you? You won't. Because you're constantly thinking about other things than that person. But you're distracting yourself with technology to avoid those situations that are going on inside your mind, inside your heart, what have you. If you do the work internally, then you will understand whether or not you're meant to be in that relationship to begin with and stop leading the person on or stop giving them false hope. Be honest with them, be straight with them, and you'll get the answer you seek when you start to do the work inside of you. But if you keep playing this game where you're on your phone all the time and you're not communicating with the person you're with, eventually that person's going to get sick of it because you're not looking at her, you're looking at a screen. Who knows what you're looking at on the screen? But it's not her or him, and we're so afraid of each other now. We don't get that. We've become so comfortable with being distant with one another that even our relationships are taken because now we're even classifying people if they don't get a certain medication inside of them, then I need to distance myself but you never ask yourself why. Why is this bothering you to begin with? It's because you were told that it was bothering you. That idea was planted in your head. It's the same thing with relationships. You can tell yourself that you want to be in a relationship, but truthfully, is that accurate? Or are you just planting the idea in your head that you want to be in a relationship and that you don't want to be alone, so you're willing to be in a relationship where you're on your phone instead of communicating with the person beside you, or you're watching television when the person's trying to have a conversation with you? And you can't blame it on the ADD. You can't blame it on, I really want to see this game. No, you're doing it because you're avoiding it. You're avoiding the conversation. And that's because you're afraid of it. You're in fear. Fear of what the repercussions will be, fear of what the consequences will be, fear of the situation you might get in. You might have to have a conversation and you don't know how to have a conversation anymore because the phone talks for you now. When we put the phone down and we start to realize that, well, I got problems in my relationship and I need to fix these problems. But to fix these problems, I need to fix myself first. And then that'll fix the relationship automatically, because remember, we create our own realities. So if we're constantly avoiding, then we're creating that reality too, where we're just zombies on our phones or zombies when it comes to television. You can get lost in a movie, you can get lost in a video, but you can't get lost in a conversation with your partner. It's a red flag. I don't know, but what I do know is we need to stop being afraid of each other and move on and start talking to one another. What's the point of love if you can't express it? I know this is a lot to digest. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I love each and every one of you.